There are two things that I don't like about crawl spaces. One is actually going in there, and two, no light. We're hoping to change that today. Pardon the mess, but we just got in, thanks to the Home Depot Seeds program, the HALCO Lighting Technologies Pro LED 2-foot select linear vapor tight fixture. Let's pop it open and see what's inside. Once outside the box, we have 2 feet of lighting fixture, 5 inches wide, 3.5 inches tall. There are 4 catches on each side to seal the unit. On the end, you have a place for connecting your wires. Clean on the sides. There's a knockout at the other end if you want to pass through. It's UL rated for damp locations. It is vapor tight, which means if you're in an area where there are combustibles, this is a good light to have. I'm thinking of putting this in a crawl space. It gets very moist down there. Plus, when workmen are down there, they sometimes bounce up against the lighting. And because this has a lens, and it's LED, there's not a chance of breaking a fluorescent tube, which is what we have down there now. To open, you simply lift each of the clips. Interesting that this one seems to be loose, whereas this one and that one all snap in. Same with the back side. So removing all 4 clips lifts up the unit. The lens protects the LEDs, so you don't have direct access to the LEDs themselves, which is a good thing. We have some wiring that comes off, and we have a wire clip that you can remove, which is great. So if you're hanging this on the ceiling or on a wall, this unit would just hang below, and there are 2 of these wires. So this makes it really nice because you can, mount the unit and not have to deal with everything being held in place by the wires alone. This takes the stress off the wires, makes it convenient because it keeps it all together for you. Speaking of all together, we have a chain here, so you can decide to mount this from the ceiling as opposed to directly mounting it to a wall or ceiling. You can hang it from a ceiling. These are clips. The metal clips are going to go on the back side here and here. So literally what you do is you take this clip, attach it to a wall or a ceiling, and then you just snap the fixture into place. So that makes installation nice. They include a plug for your knockouts and 2. So that's great because you have one that's already opened, and if you wanted to run wires to another unit, they gave you the plugs to do that with. You also have some screws, the hanging hardware. This is nice, very inclusive set. We have switches. And let's see, do we have to turn this around? Let's turn this around so you can see what it is. With the unit spun around, we can see that the switch on the left controls the amount of light output. So you can run the unit at 20 watts, 25 watts, or 30 watts, depending on the position that you set it at. It's by default at 30. You can also, which is unusual, control the color temperature. So you have 5,000, which is your bright white, a warmer 4,000, and then 3,500 for an even warmer light. And I say strange only because this is pretty much industrial lighting. It's not like you're going to put this in the living room, though you can, at which point you'd probably want to use the warm light or the soft white as opposed to the very bright. But it's nice that they give you this option. It's internal to the box, so once you set it, you're not messing around with it anymore. No need to readjust it. And it's protected because, again, this is a vapor tight enclosure. You have a really cool feature, which is you can dim this. Again, I'm not sure why you'd want to, but maybe you want to put this in a laundry room. Maybe you think it's cool to put this in the bathroom. You can dim them, and there's the additional wiring for you to do that when you hardwire it. Things that I like about this kit is the fact that, one, you have a modular connector for the leads supplying power. So you can just remove this, wire this to your power. You have black for load, white for neutral. And then you're set. You can just plug that into the unit and it's wired. Or you have the option of using the 12-volt class 2 wiring for dimming purposes. Should you, for whatever reason, need to separate the lens light from the base, again, instead of popping a bunch of wire nuts, there's another clip-on connector. So I find this a very well thought out, practically engineered unit where they've actually given it thought for the consumer who has to install this, and whether a pro or a do-it-yourselfer, you press a clip and these things come apart, and you have easy to use switches that make power selection and color temperatures very easy. And of course you have the ability to wire in for dimming. Let's see how easy it is to make the connections on this. I have a wire here. It's actually not the correct thickness of the cable, but I just want to illustrate how simple it is to make these connections. We have our waterproof connector. We take off the outer ring. We run our 3 wires through it. They come out. We insert it through the hole in the case. We attach our plastic nut in there. And then we tighten. We only need to hand tighten the nut. This is all plastic, so it's nice because it's going to be smooth to make the connection with. Okay, our wire is in. So let's say I don't want to deal with wiring over there. I'll just pull the connector off, and now I can wire right here. They include the wire nuts, so black to black. This is just temp, just to show you. And here's our white to white. And let's not forget about the ground. And the ground is not part of the modular connection, which is probably a safety thing. And one more wire nut. And again, if I was actually wiring this in the crawl space, I'd make these connections a bit more permanent. But this is just to illustrate. All right, so now we have our connections here. I go back to the modular and I plug in. It only fits in one way. Little snap. Now, at the moment, this is loose. If this cable was thicker, oh, by the way, the other stuff that's hanging here is for dimming control, which we're not going to use. So we just set those aside, and you'll notice that they are insulated, so there's no exposed wiring. So you can just feel free to lay those down. Now, there is a nut here that turns, and there's like a sheath that's going to close around the cable. Again, this black cable here is thinner than I would normally use, so it won't make a watertight connection. But if you had the proper thickness, it would. You would just tighten this down, and that would seal this opening. So now we simply put the cover back down. Make sure none of the wires are getting caught by the lens. And then we snap into place. Do all 8 of them. And let's plug it in. And there's the unit on. There is no on and off switch on this. It would be hardwired to a switch, or if you do what I did, which was just run a plug, then you'd probably want to attach that to some device that allows you to turn the power on and off. So let's kill the other lights that we have in this room. And it's a white light. It's pretty bright. It's not hot, meaning that there's no hot spots. It's even light distribution across. If you have it on a wall, it would look something like that. It lights up the inside of this garage pretty darn well. And that's all it took to get white, bright light in a space where you need it to be vapor tight, water resistant, UL rated for that. So, you could use this in a bathroom if you needed to, a pool area, anywhere where dampness is an issue, outdoors. And again, you can hang it from the ceiling, mount it on a wall, mount it on the ceiling. Another nice thing is I'm not seeing any flashing on the camera, which means the LEDs are of high enough frequency where there's no pulsing. Anyway, I think this is a great addition to any place where you need vapor tight lighting installation, or you need a place where people might be banging up against the fixture and you don't want like a fluorescent tube to get damaged or incandescent bulbs. This is a great way to go. This is a well-engineered and thought-out product with multiple connection points, the ability to access the inside where you can not only change color temperature, but light output, clips that you can use to mount directly to the ceiling or wall. In addition, you have the capability of hanging it from the ceiling with chains. Great light output, and the ability to do a quick installation, very easy. What more can you ask for in a lighting fixture? Oh, that it's UL approved? Why, of course it is. While designed to be hardwired, you also have the built-in option to connect it so that you can dim this lighting. I'm at the far end of the crawl space. There's a work light in front of us. And then way over here, I have 2 LED flashlights. And this is a fixture we're replacing. It's fluorescent. There's a danger that somebody could, while they're working down here, crash into it and make a big mess. We're going to take this fixture out, that fixture out, eventually the other one down there. Going to get rid of all this, and then we're going to plug into this. You'll recall how I said you could separate the harness and the LED from the base unit, and you can also disconnect the tie-in to the power source from the base unit. So now all I did was put these clips up on the wall. They're going to attach here, and they give you lots of fudge space, so as long as you aim for the center, you should be able to hit it, and as long as they're not crooked and they're straight, they should be able to catch. We line them up, catch on the bottom, one side is caught, the other feels a little loose, you see that? So I'm going to just pull that off and push that clip down so that it makes a more compressed catch for the fixture. After using two hands and not the camera, you can see they're attached to the back. There you go. And same on the bottom. There you go. So now all I have to do is cut a length of cable, wrap it around this beam, bring it into here, make my connections, and then this light will be energized by that switch, by that outlet that I can control from a switch inside the house. We have our plug and wire going into the fixture. There we mate white to white, green to green, black to black. This is the modular part of the power supply, which hooks up here, feeding this element. We set our unit for 30 watts and for white light. And then there's this harness, or this modular plug, which will connect to the fixture once I bring it up. And I have the option of putting on these anchor cables so that in the future, should I disassemble it, I can just hang the light fixture, the LED, from here instead of placing it on the ground or having it fall. Here's the light fixture hanging off the cables. Again, that makes it really convenient to do some work up here, install it, and then just bring this up and snap it into place. Now the moment of truth, we turn off our work light. There's our fixture. Here's the plug. We come over to the outlet, and voila, we have light in this area. So success. Now if somebody bumps into it, we're not breaking tubes, and of course, because it's LED, it's going to last a lot longer than the fluorescent tubes would. Time to get out of here and get some dinner. If you found this video interesting or useful, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, join the subscription team, and as always, thank you ever so much for watching.